I had a brief moment of panic there where I thought that's not the button I need to push. And I very nearly pushed the wrong one. That might have got rid of all the colours and the background and everything. That would have been an entertaining start. But hello and welcome to All for United WFC. It is time for another fans forum. And yes, you'd have noticed last week, it was girls just want to have fun. But today, the boys are back in town. So we've had 3 boys, 3 girls. We're on a nice 50-50 ratio here. And it is good to see the opinions of these guys here too. It's great to have somebody in the comments already. Yes, Connor did set the start time as 7, so we might well be talking to ourselves for the next 15 minutes, but we shall see. And we have got a plethora of topics today that we're going to get through. So let's have a quick run round and just make sure everybody's all right. We'll kick off with Big Johnny K down there in the old Newton Heath colours. How are you getting on?
Very good, thank you. Yeah, I'm playing Palace today, and for many United fans, this was a famous shirt when we played Palace in 92-93. So, but yeah, I'm good, thank you.
Brilliant. I always liked that shirt because it was the same colours as my Scout neckerchief, the one that I went to. That was green and gold. So there we go. John Neville, how are you doing, sir?
Yes, very good. Thanks, Barry. Thanks for having us on again.
What sort of attire are we rocking here? I can see the stripes. Is that some sort of training?
Just training shirt from this season, last season. This one is.
Yeah, nice. Excellent. So obviously John's off for a run around the block after all of this. And Andy Wall, how are you doing, sir?
Maybe not.
All good, yeah. Good week for United now on both sides, the women's and the men's too. So it's been a great weekend just gone.
You're not kidding. And that looks like, I could be wrong, is that this season's shirt?
It is this season's shirt.
There we go. See, I know my onions. That's all good. Brilliant. Lanzel, nice to see you. Welcome to the chat. So, as you might have seen already, just in case you didn't see it as you were logging on, this is our main topic today. Defence wins you titles. So, how did this all come about? Well, Soccer Donna, which is a rather fantastic website for statistics, threw out what I found to be an incredible statistic. So when you take a nice little look at what's going on, we have got in the top 10 of the least goals conceded in all of the top leagues of Europe. Now, just to put that into context, so in 10th space, you've got Real Madrid and I've got no idea who that is, FC Fleury 91. Perhaps they're not great for context, but Real Madrid with 9 goals conceded in 12 and 13 games. We've also got AS Roma, Olympique Lyon, PSG. They're all up just behind us. And then level with us is Arsenal. They've conceded 6 goals, same as us, out of 10 games. Above us is only Wolfsburg with 5, Barcelona with 4, and FC Bayern with 3. Now, I think that is pretty amazing, especially when you rewind back to last season and you think about how we were doing as a defensive unit in terms of conceding goals. So I kind of just want to get your thoughts straight away, and we'll kick off with you, Andrew. Just how good has our defence been this year?
It's been very good. I mean, when you compare it to last season, it was that second half of the season where we had quite a few injuries that just disrupted our momentum a bit. But now this season, I mean, just looking at the stats, I mean, for Millie, Maya and Hannah, they've started all 10, they've been in all 10 league games. It's only Anna that hasn't. I think she's featured in 7 of them, but that was because she had concussion. But mainly the defence has been the same throughout all their 10 league games. And I mean, the only teams that we have conceded to are the ones that are around us challenging the title, Arsenal, City and Chelsea. So it's not like we've been conceding to those below us as well. So, yeah, it's something to say that consistency has been there this season. I think Letitia coming in has just added that extra dimension to our defence as well. I mean, because that Brian, she established herself as in the centre of defence, and then Hope Powell sort of converted to a right back. But I mean, she's come here at United and just fitted in alongside Millie Turner as well, and they just seem to have that great partnership as well. So, I say, plus we've also got Eva Mannion back now, so there's that rotation there. So if one of them needs, you know, a bit of a rest, so we can bring in Aoife as well. So it's that defence, especially Hannah and Honor as well, going forward as well. That link up between the midfield and the attack as well is just working so well. So the defence is pretty much on form at the minute.
Brilliant. John, Big Johnny K, rather. I forget we have the two Johns on. We have to differentiate. I want to just throw this bit in as well. Sand Devils put Mary's communication is a key. Maya has been immense, and our team press has improved massively. It's all the factors, I think. What are the factors you think that's made this defence so impenetrable, really, this season?
I think aside from Eleanor missing a couple of games, it's been the same back four and goalkeeper throughout the season. You can't ignore the fact that Mary is a Euros winner and the confidence that would have given her coming back to United. I think she's far more commanding than she ever has been. She looks I mean, as good as Mary has been there, particularly last season. There was times when she might make the odd mistake for a goal. And for me, she decided that, that's not to say she won't make a mistake in the future, but she looks like she won't make any mistake. And I think that Fergie said the most important position on the pitch is the goalkeeper, because that's where the base is set. And if you have a solid goalkeeper, it becomes a lot easier. And then you look at the back four as a whole. Owner, for me, in my opinion, has been the player of the season. She's gone up another level completely. She was brilliant last season and the year before, but even now she's gone. She's probably our most improved player, in my opinion. And even though she was already very good, and obviously Mai coming in, she's learned a lot from Millie Turner, very solid centre half and that, and obviously Hannah Blundella's she still makes the odd error from time to time, but overall she's been solid as well. And for me, it comes down to what Fergie used, say, defend attackers win your games, defence win your titles. Andrew's right to point out all the games we've played, the only teams we've conceded against have been the traditional top three. Every other game we've been perfect against the teams other than us, and that is brilliant. Even Chelsea and Arsenal conceded goals against teams below us, and not just that, we don't even look like conceding as well in some of those games. If you want a slight improvement, 6 goals in 3 games against the top 3, I think you can still be a bit tidier for me, because as brilliant as the Arsenal game was, usually if you concede 2 to Arsenal, you're not going to win 9 times out of 10. And Chelsea conceded 3. Obviously, Derby was a bit better, but you got to be a bit tighter for me in those big games. That's the one slight negative, but on the whole, our defence has been superb, and it's not just the defence; it's the midfield as well. As Zellum and Ladd, players like that, they're just important to the defence as well. And in terms of dominating and playing that, but we've been superb this season from the back.
Absolutely. John Neville, we're going to bring you in just a second, but I've got to say, I love it when TJ and Lanzel come onto the chat because they're always immediately saying hello to each other. And I've just really tickled myself today sitting here. It's looking at this one. Hi, brother Lanzel. And what I've just got this vision in my mind of like these old monks in their brown robes. Just like, brother Lanzel, how are you? I'm fine, brother TJ. And it's great. It's really tickled me that. It's brilliant to see just how good this community gets on. But it is this question, or this point rather, John Neville, that I'd like you to address here. Connor said we're conceding so many sloppy goals.
Last season, John.
He's left us on a cliffhanger. I think, like we've been saying, that the fact that the players have got a lot more used to each other. We've had a settled back 4 or 5 for near enough every league game. Like Andrew said, other than the 2 or 3 that Honor missed through injury. Apart from that, everybody's sort of been really organised, and Mary's communication's been fantastic. She's been, you can hear her organising the defence all the time, so I think that's helped a lot. And the partnership with Millie and Maya's been fantastic as well. You know, I've been really impressed with how quickly they've, how well they've gelled in together so quickly.
You'll see that I have joined. No camera because you don't want to see the state of me yet. I'm the later stream. But anyway, I'm just enjoying the show and I'm getting called into action because I don't know what's happened to Barry there. But I can't. What was Barry just asking? And I heard you talk.
I think it was your comment about sloppy goals last season. I assume you mean that we've seemed to tidy that up. I would assume is what you meant.
Yeah, I mean, what Andrew and John, what do you think on this? Because somebody did point out on Twitter that we still, despite how good we've been this season defensively, we still have our lapses in the games like John, you mentioned, like Chelsea and Arsenal and so on. Is that still a bit of a worry that even in those games we're still a little bit shaky? And that, what do you think that is, despite how well we've been defensively this season?
Yeah, and that comes down to what I was saying. Like against the smaller teams, we've been very good. But in terms of like in terms of the top three, we have conceded 6 goals in 3 games. That's not been good enough. You can also mention about the City equaliser as well. That was Millie misheaded the ball. I can't remember now, but yeah, there are some lapses in concentration in the bigger games, which I still think we need to tidy up in that, and I still think we can do better. If you want to be beating the bigger teams, your Chelsea, your Arsenal, you have to learn to keep clean sheets, or at worst, don't concede more than 1. Back yourself to score, but you can't afford to be conceding to every game, otherwise you won't win many games.
I was going to say, just to add on.
I'm just going to say I'm going to dip out because I think Barry is back with you now. So I'll let Andrew, you carry on with what you're doing, but I'm going to dip back out because I wasn't supposed to be here in the first place. I'll speak to you all later.
Yeah, just to add on John's point there, I just remember that Chelsea game at home, and I'm trying to remember who scored the Chelsea goal, but Millie Turner made the mistake. She passed it and literally. I think it might have been Sam Kerr. I think she scored the goal, but it was Millie Turner trying to bring the ball out and then passed. It just got intercepted, didn't it? And I'm just thinking, it's almost like in the big games we're making those little sloppy mistakes. But I'm just thinking maybe, probably no small this season. Maybe it's more. I'm just thinking maybe last season we was getting the protection from the midfield as well. Hayley Ladd and Katie Zellum, they were just like, the midfield was there for our protection as well. Because without that midfield, the opposition would be running right at us. So I just think Ladd and Zellum are just helping that defence out even more now. So we're all defending together and we're all attacking together. So, yeah.
Absolutely. Well, what can I say? Monday, go onto the men's channel, get cramped, start kicking the laptop about all over the place. The laptop got its revenge and just decided to have a brief 5-minute break. But we are back and ready to go. And well done, you three, and Connor for jumping in. He's going to count that, He's going to count that as one of his appearances. When he's totting up this year, he's going to go, yep, little cameo there. That's going to count. But it's all good. So, absolutely, we've been sort of discussing there the defence and the way in which it's been better and less sloppy than last year. But I want to talk, John Commode, about Tunkara, because earlier on in the year we were having these conversations about her joining. We said, we keep on forgetting that Tunkara is about. Do you think that actually, now that we've got the benefit of hindsight and that we're looking backwards on what's occurred, that maybe Mark just kind of knew that the back four that he had was doing well enough and that was going to be okay, and so therefore he didn't want to disrupt it? Because you talked about how good it was to have the same back four. Do you think that Skinner just sort of knew that and he was sort of hedging his bets a bit and he didn't want to keep on faffing about with it, messing it around?
Yeah, I would agree with that. I think that when it came to the start of the season, maybe felt, obviously, he sees Millie Turner, and you have to remember last season we were solid at the back with Millie Turner and Aoife Mannion until they both got injured. And so we saw, as soon as Millie Turner comes back early, likes her, and he brought straight back in, and he thought, well, try Maya Letizia. You know, we were even debating what was Maya Letizier's best position as well. You know, whether she played fullback or centre half as well, and maybe he thought around Tunkara a bit, because it can be difficult. The English league, it's very physical on that, and obviously Maya played at Brighton. She knows the league quite well, and perhaps that's why he went with it. Well, Maya's inexperienced in terms of like age, and that she's experienced in terms of like WSL, as Tunkara isn't. And then, you know, we weren't conceding the goals like Everton away. We won 3-0. You know, Leicester wasn't a great performance, but we won 1-0. Last season, these were games we were conceding goals in, and that's probably where he thought. And also, he did play the likes of Tunkara, you know, against, you know, Villa and Durham in the Conti Cup, and unfortunately we weren't winning those games. And perhaps you can look at the defence for both of those games, and that's why I think, because we're keeping clean sheets and that, you earned the reward to stick with the back four, obviously. And obviously we have to remember also the Chelsea game, we did miss Ona in that game, you know, and when she came back for the Arsenal game, we looked more solid again, you know, during the first half and that. So for me, yes, I think it's one of those things in football, isn't it, that you have a chance. You look at the men's team, you know, Wan-Bissaka's been not playing for all season. Delo gets injured, he takes advantage of it, you know, and this is what you need to do. If you get in the team and you get a run of games and you play well, you know, you deserve say in the side. And, you know, those people like Tunkara and them will have to wait for their turn out. I'm sure their chance will come. You know, I do think at some point we'll probably pick up injuries and she'll probably come in. But, you know, for the time being, I think you got to sit with a solid back four if you want to be successful, and it has been solid.
I think I'd agree with you there. Connor has pointed out he's not going to count that appearance. He says he is no Ricky Lambert claiming England caps. But I promise you this, if there is just one game difference between he and I at the end of the year, that's going to count.
It's like that David Nugent won England cap, and he just and the fellow was going to score, and he just smashed it, you know, from 2 yards. I was like, it counts, you know.
Absolutely. John Neville, TJ's put here, I think Maya Letizia surprised Mark as how good she is. Thus the Tunkara situation. Do you think it's a little bit about that? Do you think that Tunkara was brought in, because let's not forget she's a French international, with the idea of being, she's going to be one of our main defenders this season, but putting Maya in the middle there, the resurgence of Millie, it's just made it sort of like a mix that you couldn't possibly want to mess around with. Do you think he's been caught by surprise with that, or do you think that he always knew that was going to be the case and he was just hoping there would be competition for places?
I think possibly he might well have been a bit surprised with how good Maya's been at centre back. I mean, obviously we would have probably all been thinking she was being brought in as a right back, as sort of, you know, for a cover for honour. But you know, at the start of the season, you know, Millie was only just coming back. Manning was obviously still out injured. And as you say, Tunkara was obviously new to the WSL as well. So it was probably a bit up in the air, and that's probably why Maya ended up at centre back first game of the season. And obviously, with how we started, you know, clean sheets and, you know, been scoring goals, it makes it, you know, very you know, difficult to, you know, why would they want to change it? You know, I think a lot of managers, they love to keep a settled lineup if they can, especially the back four. So I think he's probably been taken a little bit by surprise with how well how well Maya Letizia has taken to playing at centre back. So but thankfully so far it's worked out very well for us.
Okay, in a minute I'm going to ask you guys to name the four that you would play if you were Mark Skinner as your defence. I've got a kind of idea where it might go. So if you do end up doing what I think you're going to do, I'm going to change the rules like Connor does just to make something entertaining happen. But just before we get to that, I do want to ask you, Andrew, you mentioned about Ethan Mannion as well being available. Do you think that Mark Skinner, and of all of us, you are the one who has the voice that's closest to him, if Mark Skinner was to, do you think he might play in the FA Cup a bit like he did with the Conti? Do you think that now we're out of the Conti Cup, he might go, right, we're going to give Badge a chance, we might do a couple of changes in the defence? Do you think he might change it around a little bit because it's a cup and he wants to rotate and give them an opportunity, or not?
I think he might do 1 or 2 changes, but I think he's going to keep it a strong lineup, like the Sunderland game coming up. I think 1 or 2 changes. We could see either Millie or just dropping down to the bench and giving Tunkara or Mannion a chance. Out of those 2, I would give Mannion, the chance to get some game time, because I'm just thinking Mannion was really solid up until that injury last season. Her and Millie had a good partnership too, so it's just unfortunate when that injury came. So I think Moskin will definitely want to go all the way in the FA Cup, like we all do. We want to be reaching that final lead in May as well. So I don't see, him making lots of changes, maybe 1 or 2, and it would save and for all the players are fit. So he will want that choice. He wants that sorts like headache. Who do I choose? They're all in such good form. I don't want to be really dropping them, but sometimes a player needs a bit of a rest as well. So keeping them fresh as well.
Brilliant. Okay, well, we're just going to see what some of these guys have got to say, because they've started throwing in their thoughts. Lanzell still thinks that once he gets full fitness and has games, that Mark's going to go with Aoife and Maya moving forward. That's his prediction. TJ prefers Millie over Aoife personally, but he's okay with the competition, which is good news. Lanzell thinks there might be a couple of changes in Sunderland, and Sandevil thinks we actually played decently in the Conti Cup. 3 set-piece goals cost us eventually, and the penalties, of course. Yes, the penalties were a killer. I'm still revisiting Ella Toon's last-minute miss at Aston Villa many times during my nightmares, but there we go. So, John Commode, back 4. Who are you picking?
If all fully fit, going to make it interesting. I'm going to go Wona. I'm going to go for Turner. I'm going to go Mannion. I'm going Blundell. If all fully fit.
Okay, very good. John Neville?
I'd personally, I'll just have to go with what we've basically seen all season, just Honor, Millie, Meyer and Blundell, to be honest. I think just it's been so long since Aoife's played. It just seems like I couldn't honestly see any reason to change what we've seen so far this season.
Okay, and Andrew?
I agree with John Neville. I wouldn't change that back 4 at the minute for even Mannion and Tunkara. They're in such a great form, that back 4. They all seem to be working well together, and so why change a good thing that's happening at the moment? It's like it's all solid. So that would be my back 4.
Okay, well, in that case, John Neville and Andrew, you've managed to make it to the bonus ball question, which is, if you had to make 1 change, what would it be? If you had to, you're told that's your back 4, Hannah, Maya, Millie, and Honor. You've got to make 1 change. What's it going to be?
I'd probably, if I twisted my arm, I'd probably switch Maya out for Tunkara.
Okay, there we go. Now we're talking. Look at this debate's coming around.
We're
going to block it off right at the end of the debate. Where are you going with it, Andrew?
I'm going to go Blundell for Mannion, because because I could switch Maya to the left or right, and Honor can go on the left or right. So, Blundell for Mannion.
Interesting. So, Connor, he's done pretty much that, I think. He's put Honor right back, I'm assuming. Mannion, Tunkara, and Maya left back. That's how I'm reading it, but I might be wrong. Maybe he's wanting Maya at right back and Honor left back.
Yeah, that way around. I would think.
So, yes, I think that is what he's done. He's put Honor left back, Maya right back. So, there we go. That's what I mean, you see. Options, loads of them there. and really good to see what people are saying. TJ, make sure you tune in on Friday because we have our Reading preview, and we're hoping, fingers crossed, that we might be able to get somebody from Reading who may be able to answer these questions as to whether or not they think they're subpar compared to the others or not. And yes, Chris, keep the same back four. They've already proved how good they are. I could not agree more. Glad you put that though, Lanzel. Thor has been playing well in her last few games, especially at left back. So, and there we go. Sandel's put it in there as well. So good stuff. Now, it's very interesting. You're going to talk about the front three for Reading. We'll come to that. Well, we can do that now. That's not a problem. Front three for Reading. Who would you pick? Johnny K.
Garcia, Russo, and Golson if fit. If not, Paris.
Okay. John Neville?
Yeah, definitely Galton if available. And then I'd probably go Russo and Thomas, actually. I think Martha Thomas has been a bit unlucky to be on the bench last few games with some of the performances she's played as sub, but again, it's one of those with the team doing so well. It's been very difficult to break into the starting 11.
Lanzel's agreeing. Andrew, would you go along with that? Garcia, Russo, Thomas?
I go Galton, Russo, Garcia. I say they're all in such good form. Even when Martha Thomas comes on, she just scores a goal as well. Like, even like Rachel Williams is just coming off the bench and scoring for fun. It's just like everyone's, saying to Skinner, look, I'm contributing to this team, so pushing for a start as well. But it's a good choice to have all these players in the squad as well.
Very nice. Yeah, most people seem to agree with it. Galton potentially instead of Thomas for some. But TJ would go with Garcia, and I've got to be honest, I think I probably would too. I think if I was going it, Galton, Russo, and yes, I think Garcia has played herself in as well. And yes, Lanzel, this is why the Honour and Garcia Express, love it down that right-hand side. It's awesome. And Lanzel, sorry, not Lanzel, Yehuda, where is he? There we go. Also a fan of your shirt, Johnny K. There we go. So that's two people that have liked it. Right. Onwards, because we have a couple of other things that we want to look at. And I just want to take a quick run at this. People have been talking about contracts and transfers. Emma Sanders, I think it was, put out earlier on about no movement on the Russo contract as yet. I don't want to get hung up on Russo, but I do want to talk about two other things that she'd mentioned, which was that Ramsey still potentially off for a permanent move to Everton, and Moore is looking like she might leave through the door as well. Moore door, which is in Lord of the Rings, for those of you that weren't sure where I was going with that one. What do we think about both those players? Are we going to miss them? Sounds a little bit harsh. Let's do it slightly differently. Do you feel like we can cope with the loss of Ramsey and Moore? We'll go round the table on that one and just come in after each other.
I was going to say, I'm not particularly going to miss Emily Ramsey because we've got, Mary and Baggers too. So they're the two main goalkeepers. And, I just think it's best for Emily, go and get that game time, So, don't want to deny a goalkeeper an opportunity, just to come back and then just be not even getting in the squad. So, yeah, it's best, to move on as well. As far as Jade Moore's concerned, just as well, it's probably best to move on as well. So, like I say, she's had some time in the Conti Cup. Do I see her getting in the FA Cup? Because that's where predominantly, if she does stay, predominantly getting game time. Because at the moment in the league, I don't think she's made an appearance in the last few league games. Because like on Sunday, it was a builder that came on as well. So it just, don't think there'll be I think it's time for them to move on. So we wish them well.
Yeah, I think I'd tend to agree with that. I think it might be beneficial to move them both on permanently. Can't see, you couldn't really see Ramsey getting close to, getting into the, first or second goalkeeping spot anytime soon. I wouldn't have thought if Mary and Sophie are still going to be around, so which hopefully they are. And with Jade Moore, as Andrew says, she's only played Conti Cup games and the odd, late sub appearance here and there. So probably at her stage of her career should be wanting to get a bit more playing time and, starting games. So I think it would make sense for her to, move on this window.
I agree. I think Ramsey's done very well at Everton, and she's got a bit of a momentum and all that. So for me, she's obviously not going to displace Mary Oates as the number one, and for me, she's better than a number two, I would argue. So I think her going on a permanent move will be a good move for everyone. For a career in that, and obviously wish her all the best if and when it happens. As for Jane Moore going through the door 4 more games, so I just think that it's been a bit disappointing at the time here. She has played a few Conti Cup games, but she hasn't really established herself in the midfield in spite of experience and all that. So for me, it's perhaps a good thing that she moves on.
Brilliant. Well done. Now, you'll have 30 seconds each, if you want it, to get Alessia Russo's contract situation out of your pause, if it happens to be there. So I'm going to give it now. Anybody want to talk about Alessia Russo's contract?
I'll go on that. I think she's going to be waiting until the end of the season. I just think, is it a bit like Anna as well? Is it resting on that Champions League spot? I just think it might be, but then I'm just thinking, like with Ella Toon, she's signed pretty much her contract straight away. So I don't know what Russo's, whether that's the thing she's just waiting for at the moment. But like I say, the future is looking bright at United. So I'm just hoping sooner or later she does sign that contract, because I do want to see her stay.
Yeah, I think she's probably, like we're thinking, hedging her bets on where we finish this season, because she'd basically have any top club in Europe would take her without a doubt. I think so. It's going to be one of those where I think it just all depends. If we end up top 3 or if we happen to just miss out, then that could be the what swings it.
Yeah, all I'd say is that if I was United, if she was going to wait till the end of the season, I don't think United can afford to wait. If I was United, she's potentially not going to sign a deal. Obviously, we'd love her to stay and all that, but for me, if I was United, I'd maybe look at, because we're going to need a very good replacement. So for me, if I was United, I'd start planning for who you're going to replace Russo with in case she does leave. Hopefully we don't have to, but, we got to start thinking ahead in case we do lose her.
Absolutely. Good stuff. Just throw a few comments out here before I point out why we have the Russo segue. Can we put a buyback clause or something for Ramsey? I don't know that they've been used in women's football. I don't know that I've seen them, but can we do it? Absolutely. I don't see any reason why that would be something that we can't do. This is interesting. We'd rather talk about how Tooney has a shoe contract. I don't know. Does anyone know what this is about? A shoe contract?
I think that apparently she's like Nike have a new shoe.
Yeah,
she's from.
I think she's bringing her own range of boots out through Nike, I believe, which is like it's a first in women's football. I think I read.
So it's all to do with Nike, yeah?
Yeah.
Do you know why that is?
So, yeah.
The trainer. Oh dear, thank you, John. You made me feel good. Sorry.
That's a tick.
Yeah, that's not going to go down well. Connor's sitting there now going, no, Barry, no more. But This, Anton, is where absolutely. I'm a bit tired of it already as well. Either sign the contract or go, I think, is kind of where I'm getting now. It's just a bit, will they, won't they?
I mean, listen, I mean, we're not party to what's going on with with the contract and all that, but owner, we need to say if I had a choice between keeping one or the other, I'd rather keep Elmer than Russo, ironically. But for me, you got to start thinking ahead, saying if you're United, it's like, well, you got to make a decision at some point. If you don't sign it by, I don't know, Easter or whenever, we'll just assume you're going and then look at a replacement. So, but I'd start thinking ahead with Polly and all that. I'd start thinking ahead now in case they don't.
There we go. TJ appreciated it. Like I told you, no, probably not one of my best friends. Never mind. Can't win them all. But the reason why we're talking about Russo is because Alessia Russo has been nominated, in case you haven't seen it, for the Puskas Award. I believe that's how you say it. And this was for her back-heeled goal in the Euros. In case you haven't seen it or you've been living under a rock, this is the one where she back-heeled it through a player's legs and the goalkeeper just went, oh no, the ball appears to be in the net. It was absolutely atrocious from the angle it was at to have that audacity to be able to do it. And it just bamboozled everyone. It was a fantastic goal. Russo herself says she preferred the goal against Northern Ireland, which from my recollection was, in my words, a bit pants. I didn't think it was all that great compared to the backheel one. But I think she's very keen not to be defined by that one goal. I had a little look at this Puskas Award to see what it's all about and what's going on. And there are some crazy names on it. There's only 3 girls. I think there was 11 names all in all. Amandine Henry's on there, as is, and I'm going to say this wrong, Salma Perello. Look it up. It's on the Puskas Award. Something like that. Salma, she's there. I gave it a go. Not like Connor. I'm not scared of trying these things. Get things wrong. It's not my language. I'm trying my best. But some of the other names that she's on with, this is a madness. People I don't know, like Theo Hernandez, Alo Kual from the under-23s internationals, like they even count those. I think they look everywhere. I'm pretty sure there's one for a Sunday League footballer somewhere as well. And another guy, Matilli as well, Marcin Alexi, sorry. But some of these, like Dimitri Payet, I thought he was about 85 and retired.
I think I know that goal, actually. That was a pretty good goal, actually.
Well, it might well be, John, but it doesn't change the fact that it was in the he's 35, I think, actually, but it was such a name that I wasn't expecting to see. But you're also up there against people like Mario Balotelli and Kylian Mbappe's goal for Argentina for France against Argentina, sorry, and Richarlison as well for his goal for Brazil against Serbia. So that's some big names that she's up there against. And we're talking about Mary Earps and defence and how we are currently amongst the best in Europe. And it was brought up about our front 3 also being pretty good so far. I kind of just want to know what your thoughts are. Number one, about the goal. Do you think it's one that deserves to be one of the top 11 of the year and voted on? But also number 2, like, is this really an award we should get excited about or not? I mean, it was for England, not for United, but it all helps with this growing brand that we've got around us at United, doesn't it, Andrew?
Yeah, I would say she's in great company with all those other players as well. And I think she's definitely up there for winning the Puskas Award. I think I can just see a comment. I think it's Connor commenting saying, yeah, Russo back heel, but she had literally missed a sitter before that as well. So it's like you had the easy chance. You just made the more difficult one look easy as well. So, but no, it's a fantastic goal. I remember when that went in, we were just all cheering and just standing in shock that she just even intended it. It was like we all said, "Oh, she's ended that goalkeeper's career after that." Because I think the goalkeeper was in the late 30s. So it was like just thinking, well, you've just literally ended her career. So it was just like it was so good the goal was. But yeah, I mean, it'd be great if she did win it. And so, but we'll have to see when they announce the winner who it goes to. But yeah, she's in great company with all the other names on the list as well.
However I pronounce that name, I obviously did it well enough for Sand Devil because he knows what I'm talking about. Either that or he has literally gone to Google it and just check who I was talking about. But either way, he got there. John Neville, was it a good goal? Would you put it in there in this list?
It was a good goal for the sheer audacity of it, I suppose, and the fact that it like went through the defenders' legs and the keepers as well, and possibly that it was a semi-final of the European Championship as well. But I tend to agree with her that the Northern Ireland one was better. The flick and the turn and finish I thought was fantastic. That goal.
I can't be remembering the same goal as you. Like, what did she do? Because I've got visions of a ball being passed across the 6-yard box effectively, and her just sort of tapping something in. I think I may be thinking of the wrong goal. What do you want to have a go at describing it for me? Because I'm getting old and my memory's not what it used to be.
Somebody passed it to her on the edge of the D, and she like flicked it round the corner and side-footed it into the far corner.
Okay.
But it was the skill of the control and the turn more than anything that made it.
Yeah, it's vaguely coming back to me. All right, well, she might be right then. Might give Alessia Russo that one, but still a back heel through 2 people. That's still quite special. Wouldn't you go with that, John?
Yeah, I think it was probably the most unique goal of the year. It was a brilliant goal. For that, I'm a bit disappointed Ella Toons in the final wasn't nominated either, because that was a brilliant lob. But why is that not being mentioned? For me, I would say Ella Toons was the best one. But for me, Russo is uniqueness, and she does deserve to. It does deserve to be up for the award. I assume it's for the whole of 2022. I'd assume the Puskas goal is it. I'd certainly put it up there with one of the goals of the year. And it's good that it's getting the recognition of that, and maybe hopefully the Puskas will go to maybe Bruno Fernandes for Saturday.
Maybe. Who knows? We shall see. And he really don't like him, does he? Says more about the defenders than the shots.
I'll tell you what, if it was a man who scored that goal, they'd be all over it. I bet you if it was a man who scored that goal, it'd win the goal. It would win the push.
Could you imagine if it was Messi or Ronaldo?
It was Messi, yeah.
Exactly. Then Thierry Henry did it a few years back. He did one that was similar. For me, if it was a man, it would be guaranteed to win it. We'll see if Alessia can.
It happened a lot when Katie Zellum scored her few from a corner. The amount of people we saw in there going, oh, yeah, but the goalies are small. She didn't mean to do it. But the minute it happens with the block, oh, yeah, that was definitely something trained for.
It's the audacity. Yeah, the keeper, you can argue, should have saved it. But who thinks they're going to do that? It's brilliant thinking by Russo. The intelligence to do it. Not many people would have thought of doing that. That's why the defender, the goalkeeper, weren't expecting it. You gotta say brilliant play by Russo more than bad defending in my view, because you can say the defenders should have been prepared for it, but how can you prepare for it? Virtually no one would think of doing it. Let's be honest, it's unique.
And I think as well the bravery, because if that doesn't come off, people might be asking what you're trying that for. So, yeah, loving the bravery.
It was a critical point in the game because it was 2-0.
Look at this. He's on again. My opinions would be the same. That should never be going in. And now he wants a whole debate on it. So, who knows? We might bring you on next week, Connor. We can have Con v John in the back heel saga. But for now, we are going to move on briefly because we have a short amount of time and I've just got a couple more things I want to bring up. The first of which is I'm talking about this whole growth of the star that is Manchester United at the moment. It's how our defence is up there with the best in Europe. Our attack is starting to get recognised more. Upon that, we've also just had, and I know it's only of the month, let's not get too excited, but we've got Player of the Month and Manager of the Month so far, with Mark Skinner and Leah Galton winning those 2 awards. Now, there's been conversation as to whether or not Galton should even come straight back into the side based on how other players are playing as well. Mark's going to get him manager of the month, even though he is some sort of evil dictator who's disliked by pretty much most people. If you look in some areas, there's lots of conversation about that. It's got to be a positive thing, hasn't it? Seeing a manager and one of our players chosen for the of the month awards, and does it not just show how high our star is rising right about now? And we'll go the other way around. Johnny K.
Yeah, definitely, and I think fair play to both of them. Goals. And I mean, I feel a bit funny about awarding player and manager of the month when it's only 2 games in the month. But having said that, I do think Goldson fully deserves it. She had a really good season. She scored 2 goals in the month. Brilliant goal at City, brilliant goal against Villa, and she should have had another against Villa as well at Old Trafford, where the ref blew before she was let in. So for me, she fully deserves that. And Skinner's doing a brilliant job. I don't care what anybody says. He's improving us all the time, and obviously he gets a lot of unjust criticism at times. And in spite of the players seeming not sticking to his tactics and playing their own way and individual brilliance and all that, he doesn't have a clue what he's doing as a coach, does he? Taking Mickey, but no, they fully deserve it, and for me, fair play to both of them.
Good stuff, Johnny N.
Yeah, I think it just shows how consistent we've been up to now this season. Leah's been fantastic, and I think she deserved that award for not just for that month, but for how she started the season, and again with Mark. We seem to come on leaps and bounds this season. It's just all raising the publicity of United women at the moment. So it's very deserved, and been very impressed.
Absolutely. And Andrew, your thoughts on the double award?
Yes, great for both of them as well. I mean, I know we only had 2 games, but we picked up 4 points in those 2 games, and the City away one. Well, we all came away thinking we should have taken all 3 in that game as well, so it could have been potentially 6. But Skinner's doing great work there, and for Leah as well, it's just like the form she's had this season as well. I mean, she had scored in the Villa game and in the City game as well. So it's just like it's that consistency there in the team, which players are playing well, and it's all down to the manager and then the coaches getting them playing the right way as well.
Absolutely. And is it just me, says Lanzel, or did Leah get injured this time last season as well? I can remember her getting injured at the match against Chelsea. Was it?
Yeah, the Chelsea, but that was right at the end of the season.
Yeah, that was right at the end of
last season. Injured last season. Well, at best, it wasn't more than a couple of games.
Okay, so at the moment, the answer seems to be it could just be you, Lanzel.
Maybe the season before she was injured, but I don't remember her getting injured last season.
You the same 2 seasons ago, so it could well have been then.
Yeah.
So there we go. Right, last little bit, and we don't have a huge amount of time, but I just wanted to throw again. We've been speaking about the growth of the defense, the growth of the attack, the growth of the team. Something else that's grown, and it's really quite fabulous. Jamie Spencer, from where we get quite a bit of our material, if I'm brutally honest with you, has been putting out some more fine work, and he's been looking at the growth of the attendances for Manchester United. And they were talking about how pre-COVID the attendances were starting to grow due to the World Cup and all that sort of stuff. We had a merry band of about 2,000 people that were turning up anyway, and then COVID hit. It dropped off for a bit, and now it's starting to grow again across the WSL, across all leagues, thanks in part to what's gone on with the Euros. What's really interesting, though, is that for us as Manchester United, who've been reasonably well supported, even in the Championship, we were selling more tickets than some people were in the WSL. Our top 5 attendances have come last year or within the last season. And the top one, obviously, was 30,196. That was an Old Trafford game. Can you remember who we were playing, Andrew Wool?
Yeah, Villa.
It was Aston Villa. Well
Yeah.
done. You had a moment.
My mind went blank there for a second.
I could see it. The panic in his eyes. He's like, oh my God, I wasn't expecting that. See, you've got to go get feet with me. Our second highest attendance, also Old Trafford, was 20,241. Two Johnnies. Which one do you think? Who were we playing for that one? Everton. Well done, Mode. And then our third highest one, which wasn't an Old Trafford one. Obviously, the third time we played at Old Trafford was 0 due to the fact that it was behind closed doors. But the third one was the game that we just had at the weekend against Liverpool with 7,662. We had 6,186 against Chelsea. I was in that end. And 5,315 against Reading on the 17th of September, which was, again, quite packed when we turned up. We've got a couple of 4,000s, both in the Conti Cup, and then a few 3,000s down to 2,000s. But what I kind of really just wanted to finish off today with the question of, do you see these attendances growing and remaining at these sorts of levels? Do you see it depending very much on the opposition? The big names we're talking about there, Chelsea, Liverpool, but then Reading, 5,000. Where do you kind of see this going? Are we just on a crest of a wave because we're doing well? What do you think? Can we read too much into these attendances yet? Is kind of where I'm going with that. So brief bit of time. I'm going to start with John Neville on this one because he hasn't started yet.
I can see these attendances, staying. I can see us staying around the sort of 4,000 or 5,000 sort of bracket quite consistently at Lee. Certainly with the way things are going, I think, like you say, it perhaps does depend a little bit on the opposition when we're sort of playing the other top three, and obviously, like with Liverpool at the weekend, it's probably going to be pushing it up that little bit more. But I can certainly see us, getting towards, having an average, that's more around the 4,000 or 5,000 sort of pretty much every home game, and playing at Old Trafford as well. You can see how we sort of went from when we had 20,000 there for Everton, just over, at the beginning of last year or early last year, from going to 30,000 towards the back end of last year. Just shows how how much more interest in that's 10,000 more people gone to a game in sort of under a year. So yeah, I think it's certainly heading in the right direction.
Brilliant. That's what we like to hear. John Commode, what's your thoughts?
Yeah, I agree with what John says. I think it also comes down to promotion. You also got to factor in there are times when there's a clash between the men and the women's games this season. Like I think it was Brighton game. I'm not sure if you have the figures, Barry, but I think there was about 3,500, 4,000 for a Brighton game, and then 2 hours later the men were playing at Old Trafford. So it can depend when both teams, because people like Andrew have season tickets for both, and that can impact things. But I think
what TJ's written here about how if we lost some of the players, that could hurt the attendance.
Possibly. I mean, if you promote like you can see Russo, Tuni, these are almost household names now. People know these players, and I think that it is. It's grown in traction and that, and I do think it does show there is an increase in attendances and that, but I do think you got to factor in also that at times LSB is not the easiest place to get to. If it was closer to Manchester, perhaps you get more people coming. But for me, it's a honeymoon wave after the Euro success. There was a lot of people intrigued by it, and obviously getting behind the girls. And I do think it helps having some lioness players in the team. Russo, the back heel in the semi-final, this sticks in people's minds soon is scoring in the final and that. And I think for me it is. We'll have to see how it progresses season after season. I do think you want a steady attendance. As John said, you tend to get bigger attendances for the bigger teams usually. But for me, it is evident saying yes, attendances are on the rise, and hopefully they keep continuing to rise, and hopefully the team keeps progressing to do well.
Brilliant. Andrew, you've been at quite a few games this season. What's your thoughts? Do you see it evening out, leveling out to a certain amount, or do you think we can just sort of have to think about who the game is against and the perceived importance of it?
I think it'll level out across the season. I'm just thinking back to the Euros. The Euros is always going to have an impact on the attendances as well, and for many clubs, including United, we've seen like more and more fans coming to games, and like just TJ's comment. Some of the well-known players left, would that affect attendance? It may do, but then it's the name Manchester United. It's that low. It's a famous club, so it's always going to attract fans to watch the games. As I say, it's maintaining those fans, coming in. They come for more than just one game. I think with the World Cup this year for the women as well. If England do go all the way and win it, that's going to have such an impact on the games too as well. So it'll be interesting to see how all attendances grow over the next couple of seasons as well.
Very good, brilliant. Well done. We've managed to tick off all of the bits and pieces that I wanted to talk about today. So well done, you three. You've absolutely nailed it. Now we're going to have to end it there, I'm afraid, because as you might be able to see, Connor's already thrown it in there. Shameless advertising. Thrown immediately in. Please do make sure to come and see us over on the All for United channel, which is the men's channel, in just a few minutes' time, where we're going to be doing a Crystal Palace watch-along. He says it's more of a light-hearted commentary. I'm going to go for my very best John Motson. I'm going to go and stick a sheepskin coat on and see what I can do with that. But yes, we're just going to be chatting about all manner of things. We're going to see how much I can wind Connor up, to be honest with you. So it's going to be worth coming over just to see if he storms out at half-time, to be honest. You never know. You might end up doing a Piers Morgan and just off he goes. See you later. Who knows? It could be me. I might walk out or get kicked out. Anything could happen whilst we are watching. The teams have been obviously introduced. We know who they are. So I'm sure we're going to have a little chat on that. So please do, if you want to come over, don't type that in. Just find our Twitter and click on something there or copy and paste that. Don't try writing that out. That's a lot harder than it needs to be. As far as WFC goes, Friday, here's where you're going to want to be. 7 o'clock, back to our usual time, where we will have the Reading preview. That is a Reading preview. It's not a reading preview. Don't be put off by that. There's no work to be done. You just have to sit and watch us. Plenty going on over the weekend. You like that one? He might not have liked me trainer one, but he liked that one. That's what's going on. Getting over there. Keep on to our Twitter. Keep your eye on that. TikTok. We're on TikTok as well now, All for United WFC and All for United. And if you are looking for the men's All for United Twitter, remember it ends All for United TV at the moment. So please get yourself
brand new Twitter name.
Please get on that one, because there's only about 100 odd people, 200 people on there, because we're having a little switch about on the Twitter handles. So please do come and see us. We'll see you over on All for United with the men's channel. And if we don't, then we'll see you on Friday. Thank you very much once again, everyone, and we'll see you shortly.